It's the night of February 21st, 1945. Over the dark skies of northern Germany, the moon hangs cold and bright, painting silver lines over the clouds. At first, there's silence. Then, a faint tremor. A low, distant hum that grows into a rolling thunder. Hundreds of RAF Lancasters slice through the night, heavy with bombs, their engines beating in perfect rhythm. From the ground, the people below can only watch the formation crawl across the sky like a swarm of glowing embers. Suddenly, the calm breaks. Flak guns roar from the city below, sending bursts of orange fire into the heavens. The sky becomes a storm of metal. Shells explode in clusters, but too low. The bombers fly untouched. High above that chaos, another shadow moves, small, fast, and deliberate. A Messerschmitt BF 110, a German night fighter, glides silently through the moonlight. Inside, 3 men sit in tense calm. Radar operator Fritz Rumpelhardt, gunner Wilhelm Gensler, and at the controls, Major Heinz-Wolfgang Schnaufer. He's only 23, calm eyes, steady hands, a face far too young for the legend tied to his name. To the British, he's known as the Spook of St. Trond. Because he never came from above, he came from below. While others attacked from the rear or the side, Schnaufer struck from the blind spot, using upward-firing cannons mounted inside his aircraft. The British crews could never see him coming. All they saw was sudden fire, bursting from the darkness beneath them. Tonight, he's hunting again. His radar operator leans forward, eyes fixed on the glowing green screen. A faint cluster appears, targets, approaching fast. Schnaufer's hand tightens on the control stick. His calm voice breaks the radio silence. Contact, bearing northeast. The engines grow louder as the fighter climbs into the black. Somewhere above, the bombers thunder onward, unaware that death has just taken off beneath them. The radar blips merge. The crosshair steadies. The hunt begins. Thousands of feet above the sleeping towns of Germany, a dark river of bombers pushes through the clouds. Their engines thunder in unison. Lancasters, the pride of the Royal Air Force, flying in formation so tight that each crew can see the faint blue flame of the exhaust from the aircraft ahead. Inside one cockpit, the pilot keeps his voice steady over the intercom. Steady on, boys. Target in 40 minutes. His navigator laughs softly. If Jerry's awake, he'll know by now. The mood is calm, almost routine. For the men up here, each mission feels like one long night that never ends. They light cigarettes, trade quiet jokes, and keep their eyes on the instruments. Below them, invisible in the dark, the people of Germany wait for the sound of sirens. Suddenly, the night flashes white. Flak bursts erupt from the cities below, exploding in silent puffs before their sound reaches the plains. The bombers shake as the shockwaves climb higher. Metal fragments tear through the clouds, but the bursts are low, too low. The pilots know it. They're shooting blind tonight, one gunner says, relief in his voice. But what they don't know, can't possibly know, is that the real threat isn't coming from the ground. It's waiting in the sky beneath them. Far below the bomber stream, a BF 110 night fighter prowls through the mist. Its twin engines hum quietly, smoother than the heavy bombers above. Inside the cramped cockpit, 3 men work in silence. The only light comes from the soft green glow of a radar screen. This is no ordinary fighter. Beneath its fuselage, a pair of 20mm cannons point upward at a sharp angle, a strange design the Germans call schräge Musik, slanted music. It allows them to attack unseen, firing straight into the belly of a bomber. The radar operator leans closer, heartbeat quickening. Contact. Multiple targets ahead. Schnaufer nods once. his eyes fixed on the black void above. He pushes the throttle forward. The fighter begins to climb, swallowed by darkness. Above him, the British crews joke and smoke, unaware that the ghost has already locked on. The night is a sea of silver and shadow. Above, the Lancasters drift through soft layers of cloud, their black silhouettes glowing faintly in the moonlight. Below them, hidden in the still air, the BF 110 glides like a shark beneath a school of whales. Inside the German fighter, every sound feels amplified. The steady pulse of the engines, the soft static of the radio, the quick breathing of three men sharing one heartbeat. Fritz, the radar operator, watches the screen, a single bright cluster growing closer. "They're right above us," he whispers. Schnaufer lifts his eyes to the canopy. Through the thin clouds, the bombers are visible now. Giant black shapes, their wings stretching across the stars. The moonlight paints their bellies in ghostly white. And for a moment, it looks almost peaceful. Then, with a small motion of his hand, Schnaufer angles the fighter upward. Unlike other interceptors that attacked from behind, this one strikes from where no man expects, directly below. His aircraft carries two cannons built inside the fuselage, fixed upward at a near vertical angle. They can't aim. They don't need to. All Schnaufer must do is position himself beneath the bomber, align by eye, and pull the trigger. The British gunners can't see him. Their turrets point outward, blind to the space below. The Lancaster above drifts calmly, its crew unaware that death is gliding beneath their wings. "Hold steady," Schnaufer says softly. The glow of the bomber's exhaust lines up perfectly above him. Now. He pulls the stick back gently, lifting the nose of the 110 just a few degrees. A heartbeat passes, then two cannons roar. The sky erupts in orange fire. Flames burst through the belly of the Lancaster. Fuel ignites instantly, a fountain of fire tearing through the fuselage. The right wing folds, and a trail of burning debris falls toward the clouds below. Inside the bomber, chaos. The pilot shouting for his crew to bail out. Parachutes bloom in the darkness, glowing briefly against the firestorm before vanishing into the night. From below, Schnaufer watches silently. He doesn't cheer, he doesn't speak for a moment. Then, calmly, he presses the radio switch. "One down?" His gunner, Wilhelm, reloads the cannons, the smell of burnt powder still heavy in the air. Fritz scans the radar again. More blips, dozens of them, moving steadily across the screen. Schnaufer stares upward. The sky above is full of prey. Rows of bombers, flying steady, unaware of what's lurking beneath. He tightens his grip on the control stick, voice calm, eyes focused. Then, let's begin again. The fighter banks slightly, sliding into position beneath the next shadow. The perfect ambush continues. The sky above Germany has turned into a storm. Flares bloom in every direction, green, red, white, drifting like dying stars. Each one lights up the clouds, revealing silhouettes of bombers twisting to escape invisible attackers. But for Heinz-Wolfgang Schnaufer, this chaos is a rhythm. He moves through it like a dancer, every motion precise, every turn calculated. His fighter glides through the darkness, wings slicing through smoke trails. He doesn't chase, he hunts. Another Lancaster looms ahead, huge and slow, its four engines glowing like lanterns in the night. Schnaufer slides beneath it, matching its speed, invisible in the darkness. The crew above have no idea he's there. They're watching the flak bursts far ahead, not the danger below their own wings. "Range good," Fritz whispers. "Hold fire," Schnaufer replies. He waits, steady as a statue. Then he pulls the trigger. The twin cannons erupt again, a blinding flash under the bomber's belly. A burst of light tears through the fuselage, shredding the aircraft from within. Flames streak backward, licking across the tail. The bomber rolls violently, breaking formation. Through the glass canopy, Schnaufer watches small white dots, parachutes, open one by one. Another one down, Wilhelm murmurs, almost to himself. But Schnaufer doesn't answer. He's already turning, engines roaring softly as he banks toward the next target. Above him, bombers scatter, twisting in panic. Flares drift past his canopy, glowing like falling stars. He flew, one surviving pilot would later say, like he could read our minds. Schnaufer's movements are fluid, almost unnatural. Dive, climb, roll, shoot. Every action comes without hesitation, every strike clean. Another bomber bursts into flames, then another. But for every explosion, there's a moment of silence afterward. A thought that lingers longer than the smoke. Each crew up there are young men like him, their mothers waiting at home, their lives burning out in the same sky. Even the spook must have known that. Still, the mission isn't over. 6 confirmed, Fritz reports, voice tight. Schnaufer doesn't respond. His focus is absolute. He's locked in. A machine made of nerves and instinct. The fighter banks again, diving below another bomber, its engines flickering through the haze. The clouds light up with fire once more, and then darkness swallows them again. By now, the night sky is littered with smoke, parachutes, and falling wreckage. It's no longer a battle. It's a harvest. But the Spook of St. Trond isn't done. As his radar flickers with new targets, Schnaufer exhales slowly, eyes fixed on the void ahead. That night, the spook wouldn't stop at 3. The horizon burns faint red from distant fires. Far below, American anti-aircraft batteries thunder from captured ground. The night sky crackles with white tracer rounds, straight lines of light that climb and vanish into darkness. The BF-110 cuts through it all like a ghost, weaving between invisible walls of fire. Each flash lights the cockpit for a split second. 3 faces caught in the glow, calm but tense. "Flak ahead," Wilhelm shouts, gripping his seat. Schnaufer banks sharply, the fighter rolling onto its side as a shell explodes just behind them. Shrapnel whistles past, tearing at the air. "Close one," Fritz mutters, eyes still glued to the radar. The blips are thinning now. Most of the bombers have either turned or fallen. But one remains, a single Lancaster, flying slightly lower, slightly slower, limping home through the smoke. Schnaufer steadies his breathing. "How much ammo?" "Not much," Wilhelm answers. 2 bursts left, maybe 3. That's enough. He pushes the throttle forward. The twin engines roar back to life, shaking the cockpit. The plane surges ahead into the night. Below them, the earth flashes again, more American fire, guessing at their position. The fighter dives through cloud cover, disappears into mist, then rises again beneath the bomber's glowing silhouette. There it is, heavy, wounded, unaware of what follows beneath. Range. Perfect. Fritz whispers. Schnaufer lifts the nose, just a few degrees. The crosshair drifts upward, and he fires. Nothing. He tries again. Still nothing. The Schrager music cannons are jammed. Silent. For a second, no one speaks. Only the hum of the engines fills the cockpit. Wilhelm checks the panel, hits it once, twice. It's no good. They're stuck. Schnaufer exhales slowly. The last bomber drifts above him, safe, unaware of how close it came. Through the canopy, he watches the giant silhouette slide past the moonlight, disappearing into the clouds. Then, tracers cut through the darkness. The bomber's tail gunner has spotted them. "Brake!" Fritz yells. Schnaufer dives hard left, the fighter rattling his bullets streak by. The night becomes a blur of light and shadow. For a moment, it feels endless. The hunt, the fire, the ghosts falling from the sky. And then, finally, silence returns. The radar screen is empty. Their ammo is gone. Their fuel is running low. Schnaufer steadies the controls, guiding the fighter toward home. The adrenaline fades, leaving only exhaustion and the distant echo of the music that once filled the night. Fritz breaks the silence, voice low. That last one. They were lucky. Schnaufer doesn't answer. His eyes stay on the horizon, where the fires still burn far below. He whispers, almost to himself. The ghost's music has gone silent. The night is almost over. The moon hangs low now, pale and distant, as the BF 110 glides home through the dark. The engines hum softly, tired, uneven, their echoes fading into the cold air. Inside the cockpit, silence. No one speaks. The radio crackles occasionally, distant German voices calling for updates. But Schnaufer doesn't answer. His gloved hands rest lightly on the controls. His eyes stay fixed on the horizon, not out of focus, but drained, hollow. They've flown through hell and somehow come back. Fuel's low, Fritz says quietly. Schnaufer nods once. We'll make it. Below them, the faint glow of Gütersloh Air Base appears, a few scattered lights on a black field. As they descend, the airframe shakes gently, worn from the night's fight. Wilhelm checks the landing gear, his voice barely above a whisper. Gear down? Locked. The wheels touch the runway just before 22 hours. The fighter rolls to a stop, engines whining as they cool. The hangar lights flicker dimly through the haze. No one runs out to greet them. No one cheers. The mechanics just stare, speechless, trying to understand what these three men have just done. Schnaufer climbs down from the cockpit slowly. His legs tremble from exhaustion. He removes his gloves and looks at his hands, blackened from smoke and gun oil. 7, Fritz finally says, breaking the silence. Schnaufer turns to him. 7? Fritz nods, checking the mission record. Confirmed. 7 bombers in 19 minutes. For a moment, no one breathes. It's a number that doesn't sound real. A world record achieved by a man barely 23 years old. But there are no smiles, no celebration, only the quiet hum of cooling metal and the smell of fuel. Later, in his post-war memoir, Fritz Rumpelhart would write, "When we landed, Heinz said nothing. He just stood by the plane, looking at the sky. I think, in that moment, he realized what the war had made of him, both hero and haunted soul." Schnaufer walks across the airfield, helmet under his arm. The night wind cuts through his flight suit. But he doesn't seem to notice. He stops, looks up. The same stars that watched him kill now shimmer above, silent witnesses to everything. Behind him, the ground crew begins marking the tail of his aircraft. 7 new symbols added to the long line of victories already painted there. A record carved not from glory, but from survival. The Spook of St. Trond has returned home. And somewhere in the quiet between the engines and the dawn, the boy inside the legend finally feels just how heavy the sky can be. The war ended only months later. The skies over Europe grew quiet again. No more engines, no more flak, no more ghosts in the night. For Heinz-Wolfgang Schnaufer, the silence must have felt unreal. In just 2 years of combat, he had destroyed the equivalent of 5 Allied bomber squadrons. Over 100 aircraft, thousands of lives changed forever. But behind the numbers was a young man who had seen too much sky, too much fire, too much of what war does to both hunter and hunted. When the guns finally went silent, he was captured by British forces and held as a prisoner of war for a year. There, he was treated with a strange mix of respect and disbelief. The same pilots who once feared him now, curious about the quiet, soft-spoken ace who never bragged, never smiled about his victories. When he returned home, Schnaufer left the cockpit behind. He went back to his family's wine business, trading the roar of engines for the quiet of the vineyards. But those who met him after the war said the calm never truly returned. He was polite, humble, but distant, as if part of him had stayed up there in that endless dark. Then, on July 13, 1950, while driving through France, fate caught up in a way no enemy ever could. A truck accident left him badly injured. 2 days later, at just 28 years old, the Spook of St. Trond was gone. Today, what remains of his aircraft rests in the Imperial War Museum in London. The tail of his BF 110 marked with each of his victories. Visitors walk past it, reading the small plaque, few realizing the story behind those painted symbols. The long nights, the burning skies, the silence after each fall. Schnaufer's name still echoes in the history of air combat. Not as a monster, nor as a hero, but as a reminder. A reminder that even in war's brightest legends, there are ghosts, men who flew too far, too fast, and never truly came home. And when the night sky falls silent again, perhaps somewhere above, the spook still flies, unseen, unheard, beneath the wings of memory.